has been there. The Yakima Herald Republic, a daily part of your life.
What do you think of Arby's new Sub Deluxe?
Tastes great. It's got roast beef, Swiss cheese, ham, Italian dressing, lettuce, tomatoes, onions, but it's not a sub. You see, subs are shaped like submarines. That's why they call them subs. Arby's sub is round. It's more like a land-based vehicle. I'd call this a tank. Hey, look. Oh, definitely a tank.
Arby's delicious new Sub Deluxe. Looks like a tank, tastes like a sub.
You're watching KIMA TV, Channel 29, Cable Channel 6, Yakima. From Central Washington's news leader, Colleen Bagnell, Gary Pachot, sports, and Stu Seibel, weather. This is KIMA NewsBeat at 11.
Good evening. Some Sela High School students refused to attend their morning classes today. Instead, they staged a protest to help bring school administrators to the bargaining table. NewsBeat's Kelly Schnell was there.
Up with student rights, break these chains! Up with student rights, break these chains! Up with student rights, break these chains! Up with student rights, break
Close to 200 students marched out of Sela High School this morning in protest.
I haven't seen this done in years.
The demonstration was triggered by a controversy over the content of the school paper, the Calyx. School administrators recently ordered the paper cover primarily school events. Calyx staff members say this is censorship. But as the ranks swelled, so did the students' concerns. Students marched to the school administration building to demand an audience for all their grievances, which included the location of the graduation ceremony and the absence of special privileges for seniors.
We have a right to say what we want, and we have something to say.
What I'd like to suggest is that you have a group of people that can meet with Ms. McDaniel and talk about your concerns and handle it in that manner.
While 11 students were chosen to meet inside with Principal Suzanne McDaniel, students outside staged a sit-in to draw attention to their concerns.
They need to listen to the students. It's the student school, and the students should have their right and their say.
After 2 hours of waiting, an agreement was reached. A poll will be taken to determine the content of the school paper, and forums will be held to let the students voice their concerns.
We're on our way, that's all I have to say.
I will be in closer contact with the majority of the student body from here on out and hear some of these things.
This is Kelly Schnell reporting for NewsBeat.
Governor Gardner has been in the doghouse with state educators the past week, but today he turned the other cheek. Gardner announced more support for Washington schools and vowed that education will be his top priority next year. But teachers are still planning a one-day walkout next year in protest of the governor and state lawmakers' lack of attention for education in the past. And as NewsBeat's Brenda Louie reports, the Yakima Education Association is considering joining that strike.
Teachers in Washington state are fed up, but their efforts to improve salaries and reduce class sizes in Washington seems to be falling on deaf ears in Olympia. And instead of coming to an alliance with Governor Gardner and the legislature, teachers in Washington have turned their campaign into one of hostility. Last month, at an annual assembly meeting in Spokane, representatives from the Washington Education Association gave Governor Gardner a vote of no confidence. In a recent issue of the Wall Street Journal, several Washington teachers took out an ad discouraging businesses to locate in this state because of what they called a poor educational system. And television commercials aired across the state, dramatizing the overcrowded classrooms.
If we don't do something to reduce class sizes now, we're leaving our kids in a terrible tight spot.
But the most recent ammunition may come in the form of a statewide walkout. Recently, 800 teachers in the Puget Sound area voted to prepare for a strike, stating that the legislature has failed to adequately raise salaries, build new schools, and allow for cost of living increases for retired teachers. YEA President Karen Nelson says a march to the state capitol may open the eyes of the legislature.
It isn't just spending a day at home because you're mad about things. It's spending a day trying to get the legislature to do the job they were elected to do.
Currently, Washington state ranks 4th among schools in the nation with the most crowded classrooms. Teacher salaries have also dropped below the state average of $26,000. Nelson says those figures are hardly an incentive to attract quality educators, and in the end, it will be the students who will suffer the consequences. I'm Brenda Louie for NewsBeat.
NewsBeat has learned that a Utah-based commuter airline, SkyWest, is looking at the Yakima market. SkyWest currently serves the states of Idaho, Utah, California, Arizona, Nevada, and Colorado, and is a feeder carrier for Delta Airlines, which is a 20% owner of SkyWest. SkyWest's desire to expand and the pullout of U.S. Air prompted the current marketing study of the Yakima and Tri-Cities areas. Dee Hansen, Delta's district marketing manager, speculated that SkyWest might be interested in providing connecting service between Portland and/or the Tri-Cities, two communities already served by Delta. Hansen says Delta is not interested in providing jet service in and out of Yakima, though. Delta, which merged with Western Airlines several months ago, has enjoyed growing success in the Tri-Cities, with boardings up 25% over a year ago. Exxon President William Stevens today defended the company's handling of the Alaskan oil spill. Stevens said there is little he would do differently if faced with the problem once again. Exxon wants to burn or bury the sludge, which is not in compliance with Alaskan cleanup regulations. A state environmental officer says Alaska will not relax its cleanup laws to please Exxon. Exxon's strategy also calls for letting nature clean up about 190 miles of Alaskan coastline it describes as lightly oiled. Coast Guard Commander Paul Yost was critical of the company's plan today, saying it leaves a lot to be desired. And more disappointing news for the Exxon company today, as consumer groups and environmentalists in 9 states called for a boycott of Exxon. In Portland, demonstrators tore up a cardboard copy of an Exxon credit card and urged consumers to do the same. Today's protest was held outside the ship repair yard, where the crippled tanker, Exxon Valdez, will be brought for repairs if the company can satisfy state environmental concerns. Demonstrators are asking the gas company for a rollback of prices at the gas pump. They accuse Exxon of profiting from the environmental disaster and saddling consumers with the cleanup costs. And speaking of environmental protests, loggers came out by the hundreds today in Hood River, Oregon, in protest of the spotted owl. Loggers left their jobs behind for the day to join in the convoy of rigs traveling up the Columbia Gorge. Protesters say the spotted owl is the latest excuse by environmentalists to prevent the forest industry from logging the old timber. Loggers say the issue goes beyond environmental implications. It affects their job stability. The Yakima Fire Department wants the city to limit the use of fireworks this year to the 4th of July only. But as NewsBeat's Ken Crockett reports, city fathers were told today that public education could be a better way of dealing with the situation.